Welcome to the Invest for More Real Estate Podcast. My name is Mark Ferguson, and I am your host. I'm a house flipper. I flip 10 to 15 houses a year. I own 13 rental properties with a goal to buy 100 by 2023. I'm also a real estate agent. I've been licensed since '01. I run a team of 9. We sell close to 200 houses a year. So on this show, we like to interview house flippers, landlords, and the best real estate agents in the business. So stay tuned for some great shows. If you want more information on my rentals, on the numbers, how I buy properties, check out investformore.com. Hi, everyone. Mark Ferguson with Invest for More. Welcome to another Invest for More podcast. This is episode number 9. Hard to believe I've gotten through that many already. It's been a great time. I'd like to thank all my listeners for tuning in and trying to educate yourselves as much as possible about real estate investing, being a real estate agent, all the things we like to talk about. Today, I don't have a guest. It's just going to be me talking about what's going on in my business world with my rentals, my flips, my contractors, my real estate team, and a little bit about the blog too. So it's going to be a great show. We have some great guests lined up the next couple of weeks, so be sure to tune in for those. Many of you will know who they are. Great investors, really prominent in the online investing community. So stay tuned for that. This show, maybe I can give you a more in-depth look into what's going on, how I'm operating in a market in Colorado, which is really, really tough to buy in right now. Our inventory is at record lows. We have one of the highest appreciation rates in the country. And it isn't slowing down. Everyone kind of thinks just waiting for it to slow down and level off, and it just isn't doing it. So it's been tricky, but I'm still buying properties, still operating in this market. And I'll tell you how I've been doing that and how it's been working out so far. So the first thing I want to talk about are my rental properties. Give you an update on those. Number 12 was bought this year, and it still isn't ready to go yet. I have a contractor working on it who has been a little slow, but it's getting close. That one should be ready to rent hopefully in the next week. We have carpet going in. It should be ready to go. That one needed a lot of work. If you remember, I bought it for about, was it $127? But it was an auction purchase, so I had to pay a 5% buyer's premium, which was another $5,000 or so. It probably going to be around $15,000 in work needed on that one. We had to do new windows. It was handicap accessible before, so we had to put a closet back in, change some doors and a few things around, do some interior paint, quite a few things. So yeah, if you check out the blog, investformore.com, I've got pictures, a video, all the details on that property. It should be ready to go soon. I'm thinking it will rent for $1,400, maybe $1,500 a month. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and the ARV on it right now is probably $190,000. So if I wanted to, I could probably flip it. Well, I'll keep it as a rental for now. Number 13, I also bought earlier this year. That one was nice because when I bought it, it was already rented out. That was my first multi-unit rental property that I've bought. It's an up-down duplex. So not a huge, aberration from my single family rentals, but it is 2 units. That one is rented for $1,300 total. So it's $850 on the main floor, which is 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and then $450 in the basement, which is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath unit. However, we are doing some work on the basement apartment. We're going to put in another bedroom, fix it up a little bit. It was a little outdated, needed some work, and we'll probably be able to raise the rent on that at least a couple $100s. So I'm thinking we're probably going to be able to rent that for $1,500 when the leases come up for renewal. I bought that house for $120,000, and it has needed, probably a total of $5,000 in work after all said and done. So that's been a really good rental so far. Would love to have many more like that. So that one's going well. Number 14 was purchased, was it a few weeks ago? So that one I bought for $134,000 as a short sale. It was an interesting purchase. The property was on the market for $129,900, I believe. Again, all these details are on the blog. I don't have them all in front of me. Had it under contract for $126,000. The seller was very motivated. That was basically their break-even point. It was going through foreclosure, but not through the process yet. They didn't have to do a short sale at $126,000. We got under contract. Then when we got the title work back, we found out there were $15,000 in city liens against the property. So the city had placed a lien for cleaning up the yard whenever they went out and mowed the yard for the owner because they weren't doing it. The house was vacant. And then they had piled up a ton of liens for parking a camper in either the yard or the street. I'm not sure. It was gone once I'd seen the property. And it was a violation to have it in the street without moving it or in their yard, however it was. And so they had been charging him like $1,000 a month when that camper was there. So that turned into a short sale after we found out how many liens there were against the property. So with a short sale, the bank has to approve taking less money than they're owed on the property. So the property had a loan with Bank of America, who is okay to deal with, not the greatest to deal with, but it took a couple more months to go through that process, get everything, all the seller's information to the bank. The listing agent had to do a BPO, had to get another BPO, see what the value was. So Bank of America came back and said, we'll do a short sale, but the price has to be $134. That's the lowest we can go. So went from $126 to $134, which is okay. I'd much rather have it cheaper, but it's still a good deal. That one will probably need $10,000 to $15,000 in work as well. It's probably worth $180,000, $185,000-ish after it's fixed up. It's a 5-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-car garage. I'm thinking it'll rent for $1,400 or $1,500 once it's repaired and fixed up, ready to go. Number 15, I just bought this week. So I know if you've been following the blog, you see a lot of information on turnkey rental properties, and I did end up buying a turnkey rental property in Cleveland. So I'll go through part of the reason why I bought a turnkey, how the process has been, and what the numbers on that property look like. So I've been interested in the idea of turnkeys just because, the houses are already repaired, already rented, already have property management in place. You're basically buying the property and it should be performing from day one. Similar to rental property number 13 I bought that's already rented. The only difference was it didn't have a property manager. I had to take over management. Wasn't fully repaired. That's why I got a good deal on that one. So I had to do a few repairs as well on that one. So the turnkey ones are interesting because everything's done. The other interesting thing is they're located in markets that typically have awesome cash flow. So for people in California, New York, Northwest, places where it's really hard to cash flow because prices are so high. Turnkeys are an alternative you can consider. Now, even Colorado is starting to become an alternative to consider because our prices are getting so high. So these turnkey companies will pick locations across the country, usually the Midwest, sometimes Florida, that typically have lower prices and higher rents. Now, the downside to this is many times they won't have as high as appreciation or very little appreciation in those markets. But really, I stress it a lot in my blog. I'm investing for cash flow. I'm not investing for appreciation. I love to get appreciation. It's a great bonus, but that's not my main goal because really I'm not selling my properties. So the only way I can take advantage of that appreciation is to refinance. And when you refinance, it will increase your payments usually if you're taking cash out, which lowers your cash flow. But I have refinanced because I'm able to use that money to buy more rental properties, which in the long run increases my returns because I'm making more money on the rentals than that refinance is costing me in interest, if that makes sense. But with the turnkey, you're also paying a premium because it's managed, because it's repaired, and it's all ready to go. So, logically, it makes sense, although it's kind of comes to a surprise to many people because I go, well, why would I pay more for a house than I might be able to buy on the MLS or just as much for a house on MLS when we're not using real estate agents? And the reason is that Turnkey has done the work to put a tenant in there, to get it managed, to do all of that. And if you just go to the MLS to buy a property in these areas, you're not going to be able to find a property that's managed, that's in good shape, that's all ready to go and set up where they do almost all the work for you. They charge a premium to do all those extra services. Now, on top of doing the repairs and management, they also help you use your IRA if you want, which is what I did. So that was really the main reason why I bought a turnkey, was because I had about $50,000 sitting in my IRA, which I had invested in some REITs, some real estate investment trusts, some stocks, some mutual funds. And really, I didn't pay attention to it. I don't like the stock market very much because I have no control. The prices will go up, they'll go down based on the world economy, not exactly what companies are doing. It's just, to me, it just seems, I like to be in control. I like to have control. And with the stock market, there's just no control there. You're just kind of hoping things go well. And they usually do go well given enough time. But again, how much time will it take? And if market drops a ton, it can take a decade to make up that loss. So I thought it would be much more fun and interesting to invest in real estate. And I could give the experience of what I go through to my readers and listeners on the blog of buying a turnkey, how the process is. So far, it's been great. I met with a turnkey company in Ohio, talked to quite a few separate investors in the Cleveland area, trying to get a feel on the market there. And it all sounded pretty good. I know the turnkey company well. I've actually known them for about 6 months, so I trust them. I've met them in person. And this property was $45,000. So very cheap property. I've gotten a lot of emails saying, why are you buying such a cheap property? The repairs might be more, might not have as much appreciation. And that's true. But at the same time, I had $50,000 in my IRA. You can get a loan with your IRA, but it's very tricky and there's a lot more oversight. You gotta be very careful doing that. And plus, I'd have to find a new lender who would lend in that state. And it's just a lot easier to buy with cash when you're doing a turnkey property with your IRA. Now, if you're just buying a turnkey property without your IRA, personally, it would be a lot easier to do a loan, a mortgage. And there are some companies out there who specialize in that and as well. Always welcome to send me an email, leave a comment, and I can help you get in touch with some of those companies. So $45,000 was the purchase price. 2-story house, 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-car garage. I can't remember for sure. It's rented for $800 a month right now, but they feel they can easily get $900 a month when it's released, which is coming up soon. So to me, that's a great deal. It's great cash flow. It meets the 2% rule if the rent's raised, which 2% rules, the rents should be, 2% of the purchase price. Can't even come close to that in Colorado. Lucky to find the 1% rule. And, obviously it's a lower priced home, so there might be more maintenance, might be more vacancies, but with that kind of cash flow coming in, it should still produce good returns. The projected returns on it are about 14% on it, cash on cash. Now, as far as appreciation, as far as what the home is worth, I did some more research on that. You can't always trust Zillow. You have no idea, but they said the home was worth $60,000, which is a good sign. But again, can't always trust them. And the historic market in Cleveland, this house was worth a lot more money 10 years ago than it is today. Many people have said, well, the market's going down. Why in the world would you buy a house where prices are dropping? I want to buy in a down market. That's where you get the good deals, is when the market has been going down. When the market's going up, it's tougher to get those good deals, and you don't know how long the market's going to keep going up. But I liked seeing that the market had been going down. It shows that there's possibilities for it to return, to go back up. I would be more concerned if it was in a small town or an area where the prices had been stagnant for 20 years and hadn't moved at all, because that would tell me that they're probably never going to move if they haven't moved for 20 years. They're just kind of stuck there. But since it was higher before, it's showing me that there's fluctuation. Prices will go up, will go down with demand. And, Cleveland, from what I've talked to, is becoming a hot market, just like many other areas of the country. So I used a self-directed IRA when I bought that. You cannot just use your regular IRA. Almost all traditional IRA companies will not let you buy real estate with an IRA. So I used a self-directed IRA, transferred all my money from my Ameritrade IRA into their accounts. They handle the transaction because the IRA buys the property for you. I had to sign a few documents, and that was basically it. A couple weeks later, we closed on everything. Everything's good to go. And I own myself a property in Cleveland that I've never seen, and I probably never will see, to be honest. But that's okay with me. Like I said, it's a cash flow play. It's a play for my IRA, which I won't be able to touch for 20 plus years. And it's an experiment to see how it goes with a turnkey company, so I can share with you guys how it all works out. So far, it's been good. They've been easy to work with. I think it's a good deal. We'll see if that proves to be true in the future and how that works out. All right, on to rental property number 16. So nobody has heard about this one yet because I just got it under contract yesterday. No information on the blog or Facebook or anything. This one, I wasn't really planning on buying as quickly as I could, but it was a deal I couldn't pass up. If you saw some of the articles lately, I use a portfolio lender as my bank. They financed all my properties except for the turnkey, which I paid for in cash. And they financed all my fix and flips as well. So a couple weeks ago, they let me know I'd reached $2.5 million in loans with them. And that's kind of their threshold for where they say, okay, hold on a second. We've got to look at you a lot more closely if we want to give you any more money, lend you any more on your properties. So doesn't mean they won't lend to me in the future, but I've already reached kind of the maximum at this point in time they will lend me on new rental properties until I get my 2014 taxes. They get those, they get my profit and losses for the year. They can take it to their committee and get approval for more loans. My taxes aren't done yet. I always procrastinate on that. Even though I do very little work on those now, I've tried to outsource it, but they're not done. So I've got to wait a few more weeks at least until they're done. In the meantime, this property came up for sale that is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-car garage house that is in great shape. I mean, new paint, new carpet, siding's good, roof's good, furnace is good. Everything's in really good shape. It's vacant, ready to go. It came up for sale for under $100,000. I'm in Greeley, Colorado. Finding houses for $100,000 or less is really, really hard, and most of them are complete junk. So to find this house at that price, I was a little bit surprised. Now there is some downfall. I mean, the house was built in 1885. So most of you know I try and tell my readers to buy newer rental properties if you can. There'll be less maintenance, less repairs. But sometimes you can't choose the perfect properties to buy, especially in markets like we're in. But the bones of the house are good. The furnace, the heating system is newer. The plumbing is newer. The kitchen's newer. Almost all of it's been redone in the last 5 to 10 years. And at that price, it's probably 30% below market value. So as soon as it came up for sale, I went, looked at the house, checked it out, made an offer, half an hour after I saw it, had my team create the offer. I docu-signed it. We got it sent out. The owner of the house is actually a real estate agent in town who my dad has known for years and years and years. I've known his name, but I haven't really known him personally. And made a full price offer, no inspection, no appraisal, cash. I said, made it as easy as possible. The agent actually called me, said, "Are you sure you don't want an inspection? Are you sure you don't want to check out the house?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm positive. I've seen enough of it. If there are any problems," I didn't tell him this, but in my mind, I'm thinking if there are any problems, there's enough room in this property that I can get them fixed and still be just fine. The house I'm thinking will rent for at least $1,100 in our market, maybe a little more. We'll see. It's crazy how much people are renting properties for right now. So that one I cannot buy as a rental property. So I have a few different options. I can buy it with my fix and flip loans and then refinance it in a year. That would cost me double points if I did that with my lender. So I pay, 1 point for my fix and flip loans and 1.5 points, I believe, for my rental properties. So if I do that, it would cost me more money, but I could refinance it for more than I probably bought it for in a year and get most of my cash out and still cash flow on it. So that's a possibility. Or what I might do too, I have a line of credit available on my personal house and I could pay cash for the house, wait until my taxes are done, my lender hopefully approves more rental property purchases, and I can finance it at that point. And then there's also some other companies I've been looking into who are doing some rental property loans, national companies, higher rates, 6%, around there. But some of them are doing 30-year fixed loans at 6%, which is awesome as a portfolio lender. And I'm really trying to get in touch with those companies, figure out what their programs look like, and then share them with the blog, of course, once I get all that information and figure it out. Because it's really, really hard to find lenders who will do basically unlimited properties based mostly on cash flow, not your personal income and debt to income, all that, and will do rates 6% and do 30-year fixed loans. Really, really hard. So I'm trying to get that worked out. Some of those products aren't quite on board yet for single loans. Some companies have those for 5 or more loans, but not the single property loan. So working on that aspect too. I'll be sure to share any information I can find. So that's my rental property news. Looks like in the next month or so, I'll have number 16, which will be the 5th rental I've bought this year. And my goal was to buy 7. So I am on track as of right now. Hopefully my lender comes through and will give me more loans and I can get a couple more great deals by the end of the year. On to my fix and flips. So I used to have my fix and flip update on the blog. I stopped doing that. It really took a lot of research and work to go through that and figure everything out. And it was depressing to me as well to see how long it was taking me to fix my properties and what was going on. So that's another reason I stopped doing it. But I have 6 fix and flips going right now. So I'm still buying properties in this market. 95% of them are from the MLS still. Acting fast, using some of these auction sites is how I've been getting my deals. I have 3 more under contract. So one of those was supposed to close last week, but it was a Hubzu property and they extended closing because they have no idea what they're doing. And it's just usually a huge mess when you buy from them. But that hopefully will close in about 3 weeks. And to handle my flip problems and my repair problems, I hired one of my contractors as a full-time employee to manage all my rehabs. So this is something I've thought about for a while. I've been tossing the idea around. The biggest problem was I could not find the right person that I trusted to handle that process, or I thought had the right skills to handle that process. I have some decent contractors I work with, but it's just none of them were a good fit. It turned out the end of last year, was the start of this year, the end of last year, a contractor I used to work with a couple years ago contacted me. He had been working a corporate job in a management position, really good job actually. But he said, I don't want to do this anymore. The hours don't work for me and my family. The commute's too long. I'm missing out on my son's life because I'm working too much. I want to get in the back of the contracting business, but I'm scared to quit because I don't have any business, any work. Would you consider giving me a few jobs? I said, of course. He was always a really good, really trustworthy person. My only complaints were he's a little slow sometimes, but he did great work and was very affordable. And so he's been doing some of our properties. He fixed up rental property 11. He did another flip, got it fixed up. And while I was thinking about this, I had even more problems with my contractors. I have a house that I've had for over a year now where the contractor told me it'd be 2.5 months to fix it up. Is a huge job. I mean, electrical, plumbing, flooring, kitchen, bathrooms, siding, drywall, everything had to be redone. The house is basically gutted, but we're going on 6 months and the house still isn't done. And it's not because the contractor is being slow. It's because he stopped working on the house for a month because one of his partners quit, or maybe even 2 months. And he was just too busy to hire someone else or to work on my house for a while. So he's supposedly starting again this week. We will see, because otherwise, there are some other actions we need to take to get that house done and deal with him. So we have that. I had another contractor, a new one we used, who did some great work for a while. Then all of a sudden his prices doubled or even tripled in some cases. And then he stopped showing up to do the work. Another contractor who thought it was doing a great job. We actually sold the house, and in the inspection found out a lot of the work he did was just really bad. Just was not done correctly. Had to have him go out and fix. He fixed a bunch of things. Turned out after he sold the house, they found even more problems that he had done, not installed cabinets right, done a lot of different things. And he stopped returning phone calls or talking to us. So after all of that, I hired this contractor who I really trust. I know is a good manager. He's managed 40 people at his old job, to be my rehab manager. His job is to handle all my rehabs, not do the work himself so much, but hire, drywallers, electricians, plumbers, roofers, line up everybody, get every job, every house working on as soon as possible. That was my biggest problem. I was taking months to get crews and contractors working on jobs. And then to obviously take care of problems with contractors, or make sure the contractors he hires are going to be good ones. He obviously knows a lot more about the business than I do because he's in it. So far it's been a couple months, and he has been absolutely awesome. We've got crews working on all of my houses right now. Before, it kind of seemed like half of them were being worked on, half of them were just sitting there. He has got new contractors coming on. He's got projects getting done much quicker. And then if he's got spare time, he is actually, he can do some of the work himself. I'm already paying him, so it doesn't cost me any extra if he does it. And then, we can even have him do some personal work for us on our house or things like that, which is nice. So besides working on my properties and doing my rehabs, my rental properties, if we get to a point where he's really cruising along, really got our system dialed in, we could even start a contracting business where he is doing jobs for other people, other flippers, other homeowners. As a real estate agent, we know a lot of people have a lot of contacts, people who need work done, and we know how hard it is to find good work. So I think it's a huge opportunity there, paying him for his work, his time. And then if he's doing other jobs, we can make profit on top of that and even work out a profit sharing plan with him too, if things go really well. So super excited about that. That should, literally change my life and free up so much time and money, because we'll get these properties done quicker. All right. So there's the rental properties, the fix and flips, my real estate team. The team is going awesome. My primary job is a HUD and REO listing broker. In Colorado, HUD and REOs are virtually dead. Like I said, our market is going up so fast that there's very few foreclosures, because people who get behind on their loans can just sell the houses and make money. Our market has gone up probably 15 to 20% each of the last 2 or 3 years. It's ridiculous. Houses you could buy for $100,000 a few years ago are $200,000 now almost. So I've had much fewer listings than I've had in the past personally, because HUD is down so far, because REOs are down so far. It's not because I'm doing the worst job. It's just because there aren't any. So it's been awesome that I have my team behind me, because we're selling just as many houses. It's not me selling them. It's my team selling them. So I hired back in September of 2013. I took over the real estate team, ended up hiring my best friend from college who was in the corporate world as my team manager. He got his license. He became an agent. We were kind of planning for a worst case scenario, going from a job that's paying him, $150,000 a year to maybe, we'll hope you make $50,000 this year. We're not sure. He ended up making over $100,000 his first year, mostly because of the houses he sold being a real estate agent. He's been awesome for the team too, and he helps out a ton with the blog. He's much more tech savvy than I am. We ended up hiring another agent who's just killed it. I mean, I'll have to check the numbers again, but $50,000 in commissions in June total. He split that with me because he's on my team, but he had 8 closings. It's crazy what he did. And he's going to make well over $100,000 his first year. It's just nuts. We ended up letting go a couple of our other agents who weren't performing as well, who I had inherited from my dad when he ran the team. Nikki, who's my assistant, has been doing great. She's an agent too, but most of her time is spent helping me. She's still selling houses, it seems like, every month. And then we hired another new agent this year who has got a few houses under contract, and he's 6 weeks into it, I believe. So he's doing awesome. Just got his first listing. He is super happy. So the team is doing great. So nice for me that they're selling houses. They're making money. They're making me money when they make money. And I'm not having to do so much work as I used to have to do. It's a great feeling. In return, I'm paying for a lot of advertising. We're getting them a lot of leads. We're doing happy hours. We're doing all kinds of events to try and build our business, build the database, get them clients and people to sell houses to. So the team's doing awesome. Actually, did get 2 new HUD assignments this week, which is rare. And for anybody who's in the Northern Colorado market and looking to buy some rental properties, one of my new HUD listings coming up is going to be a side-by-side duplex in Loveland. So it's just east of downtown Loveland, 3-bedroom, 2 baths on one side, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath on the other side. House needs a lot of work, paint, carpet, rotten trim, but it's probably going to be great for somebody who wants to live in one side, rent the other. If you know about HUDs, there's an owner-occupant period where only owner-occupants can buy the home, either in the first 5 or first 15 days, depending on how much work is needed. So if you're interested in a great investment in that area, I don't know what the price will be yet. It's always kind of a guessing game with the HUD appraisers, but that'll be coming up probably in the next week or 2. And if no owner-occupants buy it, it will go to the investor period where investors can buy it. It's very rare to see a duplex with HUD, but they do come up once in a while. All right, just one more thing to go over, and I'll finish up this podcast. We have been having some great conference calls with some of the products I put together. I just want to mention a few of them. I brought out the 6-figure real estate agent success system earlier this year. It's been a ton of fun. We had an awesome conference call on a rent-to-own program a couple of weeks ago. We're going to do another call this week. Actually, when this podcast is published, it will have been last week. But we're doing another conference call and a lot of participation. Really, it's been a lot of fun, a lot of questions. I think our last call was almost an hour long because there's so many questions. That program has been going awesome. If you guys are interested in it, I've got links to it on my resources page, and I can get you $100 off. Since you're listening to the podcast, just shoot me an email, ask me about it, mark@investformore.com, or you can always reply to comments on this post. And the blueprint, same thing. Complete blueprint for successful real estate investing. That's more for rental properties, people looking to fix and flip. Those conference calls have been going great as well. I think, not sure how many we're up to, but we've been doing it for well over a year now. So all the calls are recorded and you have access to them when you get that system. So it's been a great time. Again, I can get you $100 off that one too. So if you're interested, let me know. Shoot me an email. Try to be as personal and in-depth as I can on those programs and help people out as much as possible. So that's all I've got for this week. Rental properties going awesome. Flips are going really good. Team is going good. Hiring a contractor has been good. Obviously, my own listings have been down a ton, but the team has made up for that. So next week, we'll have a guest on again. Very, very great guest. And thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.